But now we're asking if you think Britain is safer with Keir Starmer in charge. 0207 862 2222 is the number. The Prime Minister has flown to Washington, D.C. for a NATO summit, marking 75 years of the alliance. It's his first overseas trip as PM, and he'll be digging into meaty topics with Russia's war in Ukraine and the threat posed by China high on the agenda. So Keir says he has a cast-iron commitment to raising defence spending to 2.5% of GDP, although there have been calls for him to go even further. This is what he had to say yesterday.
We will carry out our strategic review to look at the challenges, the capabilities, and on the back of that make further plans. I am committed to that 2.5% within our fiscal rules, but that strategic review needs to come first. But today, tomorrow and the next day is all about standing together with our allies.
Military experts have warned that Keir is playing with fire by failing to set a deadline. They say the threat is now and that bad actors like Vladimir Putin will not wait. So let's start with Andrew on this one. So Keir wants a review. Now, reviews, as we know, mean very little. They feel almost open-ended. This one, it's estimated, might take a year to come up with any kind of result. Do we need a review, or is this a very difficult, very febrile world at the moment where you never know where a confrontation or a war is about to erupt?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, we are living in a very volatile situation. You've got the whole Russia, Iran, China axis. You've got massive instability in the Middle East. But the problem is that Labour are in a bit of a bind because they've said they won't raise taxes and they're promising to cut debt. So everything we talk about with the new government boils down to money. And is it more favourable to put domestic priorities first, getting enough teachers out there, cutting waiting lists, or do you use the money on defence? But I think you said in your intro about playing with fire. I think he absolutely is, because of the parlous state of the military at the moment. Manpower is down. The hardware isn't there. They've siphoned off, I don't know all the different things. Is it the Typhoon jets? Their latest super nuke submarine is, I think, beached somewhere at a garage because it isn't working properly. And I know a lot of war now is technical. It's fought over the internet. It's fought in a kind of cyberspace. But even so, if we haven't got enough to man a division in the eastern sort of NATO border, then what are we? And I think the very idea that he's come in and saying, I'm a strong, trusted figure, and actually they polled better latterly, Labour, in terms of being trusted on defence. Yeah. He has to stake his claim. He has to give it a timetable. He can't say review, as you say. It could be reviews are for the birds.
I mean, Henry, when the last Labour government left office, we had 100,000 plus personnel in the army. When Rishi Sunak did, we had 72,500, the lowest number of serving personnel in the military since Napoleon. I mean, does it make you feel that what we need is a review? Or does it make you feel we've got the figures and we know what's going on?
Well, given everything Angela said and given what you've just said, the comparison between the last year of the Labour government and Rishi Sunak and the 14 years of the Tories, clearly Britain was safer under Labour. Britain spent far more as a percentage of its GDP during the years of Blair Brown than when the Tories hollowed it out. In the final year of Blair Brown, so 2009, Britain spent 57 billion on defence. It came down to something like 44 billion during the midpoint of Cameron and Osborne. And that's when the number of service personnel and all that equipment shrank. So how can we possibly say, given that track record, that Britain was safer under the Conservatives? And military figures often make noise at certain strategic times when they think a government is vulnerable to pressure. So they talk to the Telegraph, they talk to the Mail, they talk to the Times, as Philip Ingram did. And that's why Keir Starmer has been forced to say, well, I'm really going to be a serious, strong leader. And also, let's remember that...
What about if we don't remember? What about if we don't look at past records? We don't look at history at all. What about if we just don't do that?
Well, history is the best guide to what's going to happen.
But what about if we do the really important thing, which is look at the present, look at what's happening now in the world? It is not the same situation as it was when the last Labour government left office or when the Conservative government started either. What we've got now is a potential tinderbox in the world for all kinds of fighting to erupt absolutely anywhere at almost any moment. I mean, the conflict in Ukraine is a 2-hour flight in a plane.
Sure.
It's in Europe. People used to go there for the weekend and have a marvellous summer holiday there. So the point is, are we overlooking the urgency if we start a review at this point? Is this the moment to review?
While that review is going on, the British Army will still be doing what it's doing in the Middle East.
Yes, failing to recruit. That's
not many of them doing it.
But let's remember this, really important. That figure of 2.5% was only mentioned by Rishi Sunak in April during a speech that he made in Poland.
Yeah,
until that point, he was happy with where we were.
But Angela, fixating on who said what in which speech at any moment on any day. I mean, you know, only the day before yesterday we had Putin dropping bombs on a children's hospital.
Terrible.
You know, so close to us geographically in the world.
Exactly.
Are you concerned about kicking the whole subject into the long grass by commissioning a review, which we all know can mean nothing at all?
Yeah, unequivocally so. And I'm afraid, Henry, I have the greatest respect for you, but yeah, history can guide policy and orientate us in terms of lessons that have to be learned. Yes, this was a bad person, we had to get rid of them. I'm not overly simplistic here. But if you look at before Putin invaded Ukraine, before Hamas launched their monstrous attack on Israel, you could say, OK, the world was ticking along. Yes, China was making a lot of noise. Iran's always been unstable. The fact is, we have two massive flashpoints. This direct hit, as Vanessa said, 2 hours away on a children's hospital, just shows us how close this war is. And, war schmore, it doesn't matter what went before. If the maths don't add up and we don't have enough hardware, we don't have enough personnel, we don't have enough expertise to fight this existential threat, then who cares what...
Well, no, I've got to say, really quickly...
Let me bring the caller, Henry. Okay. Yasmin's on the line in Manchester. A very simple and yet very complicated question, isn't it, Yasmin? Good morning to you. Do you feel safer under Keir Starmer?
No, not at all. I feel as though he's going to be a dictator. He's going to be on the world stage.
Wow.
He's not going to be that much in Britain.
Why? I have to stop you to say why. Why do you feel he's going to be a dictator? He's had such a huge mandate from a democratic vote. Why will he be a dictator, do you think?
Because of all the Asian MPs that he's already kicked out of his party and the way he treated Diane Abbott.
Well, Diane Abbott yesterday was being praised as the mother of the house and really being treated with tremendous respect, which, of course, she deserves for her long-serving record. I don't know whether you're right to say he kicked any MPs out either. I think this was potential candidates,
I think she's thinking about Faiza Shaheen in Chingford, and whose previous texts were revealed, and as a result, she was deemed unsuitable to stand as a Labour candidate. Yeah,
so you're concerned about that, but I'm not quite sure how you get from that to dictator, Yasmin. That's a bit extreme, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, the way I look at Keir Starmer is this. It's going to put ULEZ all over the country. It's going to get everybody to increase the poll tax. It's also going to charge taxes on pensioners. It's also got an £18 billion hole in the budget that he says he isn't doing anything about. The other thing is that he wants an ongoing war in Gaza. And when I said about him kicking MPs out, it was the people who voted for a ceasefire that he let them MPs go.
All right, Yasmin, thank you. I thank you very much indeed. So this is one caller saying she doesn't feel in the least bit safe under Keir Starmer. Let's see what Maureen in Worcestershire thinks about this. Hi, Maureen. Good to have you on the programme. How do you feel? Do you feel safer under Sir Keir?
Yes, I do. And I think people should give Labour a chance. They've only just got into government. Keir Starmer, I think he's going to be the best... the best... Oh, it's gone. Sorry.
I'm not sure you're giggling, but we don't know why, Maureen. Why are you giggling?
You're overcome with the power and the presence of Keir Starmer. Maybe it's that, Maureen. Do you fancy him?
Oh, gosh.
I think one thing we do need to say, it isn't just about the money you spend, it's how you spend it. Because as part of the £60 billion that we spend at the moment, a significant amount of that is on military pensions, some of it is on intelligence. You need a review. You've been out of power for 14 years to work out what the threat is and how you procure the equipment and how you spend it. Because we waste a huge amount on bad procurement in this country because we don't work out what we actually need relative to the threat. And we're not going to be fighting these wars on our own. We're fighting it through NATO or through various...
Let's go back to Maureen and see if she's composed herself. Maureen, have you got yourself together? What would you like to say?
I think he's going to be the best Prime Minister we have ever had. I think he's an honest person. unlike the previous Conservative government.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's bring in Christine. She's in Manchester. Christine, do you feel safer under a Labour government?
Well, yes. I think because Keir Starmer has got, a lawyer, he will scrutinise any contracts that we do. And this where we won't get the money back from Rwanda. I can't understand how the Conservatives didn't go through paperwork to secure that the fact that all this money we would get back if we didn't go ahead with it.
So, yeah, I mean, that is quite interesting. And I like the idea that our lovely caller thinks that Keir Starmer will personally go through all the contracts before they're issued by the government. And Christine, that would be absolutely marvellous. And actually, if he did, I'm sure you're quite right. You know, he absolutely would be alert to any anomalies in any contract. I think you're right.
Can I ask you very quickly, Christine, given what you've heard so far about our diminished military and our lack of all the stuff that we need to fight to prosecute a war, are you not concerned that because he's a lawyer and he's tied up with the paperwork of a review, that God forbid a million times there was some massive immediate military threat that we're not able to fight back? Does that not concern you, in that you've got a Prime Minister who hasn't even given you a timetable for when he might put more cash into our armed forces?
Yes, but the thing is, you've got to give this man time. He's got to go through every department and everything that's needed in this country. And I feel that he needs to up the military. That is a priority.
Christine, thank you so much. And I think lots of people will think, fair enough, give him time. He's only been there a couple of days. Thank you so much. Later on, it's the